It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Wrestling for the Culture. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm. Make sure you are locked in by subscribing to the Wrestling Wrealm right here on YouTube, or if you're in your cars, make sure you are subscribed, whether it is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcoin, Spotify, you name it, we are there. So I gave you all the particulars, so now let's get right into this week's show. Of course, our WWE champion, like I said, who's on the cover, Kofi Kingston, has been continuing his incredible title reign. While he may not defend the title each and every week, he's still going out there putting on good matches. I, for one, I'm going to be honest with you folks, I do not like this whole wild card rule. We see Kofi actually work more than we see Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins is in the main event. What's up with that? You know, Kofi this past Monday would go to Raw, where he would take on the Sami Zayn first, which he was victorious, and then he took on Kevin Owens, which he was victorious, and then we all know he was attacked by Samoa Joe. Move on to Smackdown. So, like I said, he was attacked by Samoa Joe. They made it official. Extreme Rules. Kofi Kingston, Samoa Joe, WWE Championship on the line. However, Dolph Ziggler felt, you know, it's not fair. I still want to be in the match. I need to be included. So he finagled his way to a match with Kofi Kingston. 2 out of 3 falls. If Ziggler wins, he's in the match also. Nope. Kofi would get it done, win in the match, and he will go on to face Samoa Joe 1-on-1. And then we saw, you know, earlier in that night, as well as on SmackDown, I thought I had the picture, but I didn't. We saw the New Day defeat Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. This is coming off a night on Raw where they teamed with their longtime rivals, the Usos, who defeated the Revival and Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So the New Day are on a roll. Look for them maybe to get back their WWE Tag Team Championships. Now let's move to the Indies, because you know it's a lot going on. So this past week at I think it was AAW, we saw Jacob Fatu victorious over Congo King. Word on the street is Jacob Fatu is on the WWE's radar. If you've been paying attention to him, he's been out there killing it. So, and then we also saw a match that kind of, if you look at the match graphic, it's a tag team match. But when I went to do my research, I saw that it was a one-on-one match. So we'll go with the one-on-one, where we saw Myron Reed defeat Kurt Stallion. So big shout out to Myron Reed. Make sure you also check him out on MLW. Moving on, shout out to my boy Keith Mack. You may have heard him right here on the Wrestling Wrealm. I did an interview with him about a couple months ago. He debuted some new gear inspired by Nickelodeon, and he was victorious down in West Virginia. So make sure you check out Keith Mack. You can see a lot of his. Also check him out at Team Mac TV. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Now we're going to go over to Bumps and Bruises. I believe that was all the way out on the West Coast. Yes, in as Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, Los Angeles, where we saw former WWE superstar Shaq Gaspard defeat Slice Boogie. And then we're going over to Japan. Yes, we're going all the way to the land of the rising sun at this promotion called Seedling. The show's titled Seedling, where Amazon was victorious over Kyu Kobayashi. So congratulations to Amazon getting the win. And now here's one of my personal favorites. Marti Belle made return to shine this past weekend, where she defeated Madi Maxx. Just looking through the internet, I saw that Marti received a huge standing ovation as the show took place in her hometown of New York. So you can see, if you go through, you can see she got a lot of support, So shout out to Marti. This photo, of course, by the one and only Scott Lee. Shout out to him for allowing us to use this photo. And now, got some sad news to report. Now, last week we talked about Jason Cade with a bad attitude and taking over the syndicate. And, I've learned, and I wish I knew this before, but I didn't, so I got to report it. I learned that Elijah Evans, I saw the people saying, thank you, Elijah, but I guess I just missed it. But I learned the report that he has announced his retirement from wrestling after 7 years. Elijah has been one of the standout, especially down there in North Carolina. He wrestled at Ring of Honor. He had a match at Ring of Honor and NXT, but he said that he wants to take time out and, he's going to call it a career to spend time with his wife and kids. I got to say, thank you, Elijah. I will never, ever discredit a man. I always respect any man who does what I do, is take care of their family. Shout out, they put on the show, we deserve it, and he's left a great legacy down there at PWX and in North Carolina. But right here, the syndicate looks to be in good hands. So, going to talk a little AEW. Unfortunately, the wrestlers of color didn't get wins, but they showed out. Two in particular, Nyla Rose. If you go back and watch that match, the women's match, she put on a performance, folks, and I have to admit, it was phenomenal, incredible. So make sure you check that out if you didn't. AEW Fighter Fest. It was free on the Bleacher Report app. You can't go wrong with that. And then there was also Private Party. They were in a triple threat tag team match. And I watched these guys at CZW, and I remember they was young. They were just coming up. They took on the Rep. And I was like, well, okay, these guys can go, and they're entertaining. Now to get to see them on the AEW stage, the world gets to see what I see. So congratulations to them. It's not always about wins and losses. Obviously, we want to see wins, but sometimes you see a lot of these wrestlers get over in a loss just as much as they can in a win. So now it's time for the Black Wrestling Alliance to present Black Gold, folks. Make sure you check out my boy A Dazzle on Instagram at Black Wrestling Alliance. You can see all the people, he catching up with everybody. So, oh snap, I missed something. Well, you know what? I'll talk about it later. It'll get its own segment. But we'll go right into Black Wrestling Alliance, where, let's see, make sure I got this right. So we start off with Anthony Bowens becoming the new BXW Heritage Heavyweight Champion. Congratulations to Anthony Bowens. And then the Rep, I brought them up earlier talking about their match with Private Party. They won the Capital Wrestling Tag Team titles. And then we have Tony Mako and Mason Walls becoming the new FEW North Florida Tag Team Champions. And then last but not least, Alex Kane became the new WW4A Internet Champion. So congratulations to him. So going to round this off, Ring of Honor Best in the World, folks. Took place this past week right here in Baltimore, Maryland. So I was fortunate enough to be there. Shout out to my homie Blake hooking me up. Went there. And one of the things, all the black wrestlers won. All the black wrestlers won their match. Starting off, we had Shane Taylor retain his Ring of Honor TV championship in a win over Bandino. An incredible match. You had the big guy in Shane Taylor. You had the luchador in Bandino. And the styles, you mean, like, oh, they're going to clash. But no, it was a good match. Definitely check that out. Then we also saw Jonathan Gresham, the Octopus, defeat Silas Young in a Ring of Honor pure wrestling match. So this is my first time actually watching one of these. One of the things I saw that, you only allow 3 rope breaks and 2 strikes or something like that. I know somebody will correct me. But it was an interesting match to say the least. But it was Jonathan Gresham getting it done. And then last but not least, in one of the best matches of the night, we saw Kenny King defeat the former Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Jay Lethal. And man, I can't do this match any justice. I gotta tell you, go find it, check it out, subscribe to the Ring of Honor's Honor Network, do whatever you gotta do, because that was an incredible match. Best in the World was a really good pay-per-view. You know, I know a lot of people say, oh, the Ring of Honor isn't what it used to be. It's going through a transition period. We saw Matt Taven come out there and say that. But nonetheless, when you look at the show, and for me, who haven't kept up with, like, I've been reading but haven't watched every single Ring of Honor, I was able to appreciate the wrestling. Because sometimes when you can watch a wrestling show without knowing any of the stories, you watch it differently because you're not trying to say, oh, this should happen or that should happen. You just watch it for what it is, what's in front of you. So I don't do that. I don't get a chance to do that all the time, but sometimes, and this was one of those shows where I was glad that I was there. It was a huge pay-per-view, and it was incredible. So make sure you check that out. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Wrestling Realms, Wrestling for the Culture. Make sure you're subscribed. You know where to find me, at Brian H. Waters on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe. Like my Facebook fan page, Brian H. Waters Talk Show Host. And you like the B Waters production page as well. But like the Wrestling Realms Facebook fan page at the Wrestling Realm. Join the group. And then also subscribe to the show. Subscribe to our iTunes, Google Podcasts, I should say Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. And of course, you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Can't express that enough. There's a lot of content coming from myself and the real Dwayne Allen that you're only going to get exclusively on the YouTube channel. Until the next time, folks, I'll see you when it's time for Break It Down with Brian H. this week. So long, everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week's episode of Wrestling for the Culture. For more episodes or more content from the Wrestling Realm Network, hit the subscribe button down low. Make sure you turn on the bell for notifications. Till the next time, too sweet.